Welcome, everyone, to the fifth episode of Conversations with T. This is T herself, and I'm here with someone who I went to graduate school with. She and I both majored in special and inclusive education, and even though our our time at UCL was a short one, we still had a lot of fun getting to know each other and hanging out. Have you been, Humaira?
I've been great, thank you. How have you been?
I've been all right, alhamdulillah. It's actually been 2 years since I came back from London. I planned on returning there in April. I left in March in 2020, but I never came back. I actually ended up finishing the third semester and my dissertation in Bangladesh, which I never imagined would happen. I recall I remember how much I enjoyed London compared to Boston, despite being there for a very short period of time. And I was in America for about 4 years. I miss the morning walks, my beautiful dorm, the food, shopping in Oxford Circus, and I met really nice people there. I've been stuck in I've been stuck in Bangladesh for more than a year until I went to Dubai for a vacation 3 months ago, and I loved the place. I honestly hope that I'll settle there one day, inshallah. It's such a fun place to be in.
That's really nice to hear. I have moved out during the COVID lockdown. I now live by myself. Um, that was during the COVID, and now I work in a special school for autistic children, and I work with the youngest group at the school.
MashaAllah. Are you enjoying your experience?
Alhamdulillah, it's been well. It's been all right.
Oh. So how long have you been working there?
I've been working there for nearly 6 months now.
6 months. Okay,
Yeah,
that's been a while. Yeah, that's been a
it
while.
has been. It has been.
So do you have past experience with working with individuals with special needs?
I'm working more towards with autism, because
Okay.
that's kind of my background.
Okay.
And so I've got relatives with autism. I too am on the spectrum myself, so I
Oh,
like to share my experience with the younger children and
oh.
put my skills into practice.
Mm, mm. So, do you want to actually, for today's episode, I wanted to discuss the topic of bullying with you because you and I both have experienced it. And I personally, even though it happened a long time ago, it's something which still uh, affects me today, if that makes sense. And I was just wondering if you would like to share your story with the listeners. What do you say?
I'm up for that. I don't see why not. Because I think my experiences can help others. That's what I believe in. Sharing helps understand perspectives. It teaches us a lesson at the end of the day, so I don't see why not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'll talk about my story.
Mm-hmm.
I, as I mentioned earlier, I have autism. I
Mm-hmm.
was diagnosed at the age of 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in a special school from 4 until 7 years old. Um, I was just developing, just about learning how to talk and everything. I spoke at the age of 5, so
Oh,
there's that. Um, Around the age of 8, no, 7, I moved to mainstream school, which is completely different to a special school,
mm-hmm.
where where we label normal people as neurotypical.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of the neurotypical people did not understand disability, didn't understand why I was different to others.
Mm,
So I used to be physically bullied. I used to be verbally bullied quite a fair lot. Just because I was the only one that was different in the class, and I would always be coming home to bruises or sudden like pains and aches. And I'm glad this has been a strong lesson
Mm.
because it's taught me a lot about resilience and patience.
Mm.
So yeah, it's quite a hectic story,
Do you
all
think?
the way through to secondary. So yeah.
Oh, I was just going to ask, the people who bullied you because you were because you were autistic. Do you think one of the reasons could be due to a lack of awareness about special needs and disabilities?
To be honest, I really think so. I feel there was no education involved in understanding difference and awareness. There was only like one day of anti-bullying day where everyone started to pretend to care about each other, when in reality it should be an everyday thing.
Yeah,
No one should no one should deserve to be bullied in any way, in any sort.
bullying is traumatic, and regardless if someone physically beats you up or says horrible things to you or whatever, it can really cause a lot of damage to someone later on in life. It can affect like it can affect the way that they build relationships with other people, the way they see themselves, and yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. When I was bullied, this was around in secondary as well.
Yeah.
Every time I used to be bullied, the teachers would tell me, "Oh, just ignore that person or avoid that person." But how can I avoid a person who's in the same class as me in every possible subject
Mm.
and in the same form group? It's not possible because you can't avoid them unless you want me out of the school, and that's about it. And
Mm.
then if I was to be out of school because I was unwell, I had a medical appointment, it
Mm.
will turn into rumors, and they'll think the biggest possible thing that could turn out so negative.
I think some teachers they need to be more sensitive about this issue because um like to really tackle the issue of bullying, it's more than just ignoring the person or avoiding them altogether. And it's actually about how do I say this? You make it a school thing, where everyone is involved towards like reducing bullying at least, and everyone should be against it, and people shouldn't be afraid to stand up for others if they see someone else getting bullied, and they should be educated about how it can how it can emotionally damage someone, right?
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah, I remember during my third semester, I actually wrote an essay about whole school approaches for one of my courses. And I think I think schools should really adopt that approach. And from what I've read, it's quite effective, and it was effective towards raising more awareness about mental health and uh, like stopping like reducing bullying and being more sensitive about catering towards the needs of people with special needs. And what else? Yeah, that's all I remember from what I researched for my paper.
Was Do you feel that bullying has become um, a huge taboo in the South Asian community, considering that we come from Bangladesh
Yeah.
and they see that bullying is just negligence or some sort of um, area where they just don't give a damn about you as a person. Rather, they involve the opposite. If that makes sense.
It actually pains me to admit this, but our like the society which I'm from, it's filled with bullies. People judge others for very stupid reasons, and and they make fun of people who may not share the same values or opinions as they do. And there's um like they're very into gossiping, spreading rumors, and it's not nice. It's a very toxic environment to be in, and it can be draining, honestly. Like, I've been
Mm.
there and done. I've been there.
Yeah, and sometimes bullying doesn't just come from school education settings. It can come down to your family.
Exactly.
I I have family. I don't want to like trigger the bullet onto this podcast here, but there are certain family members that used to pick on me a lot because I used to say things differently or I would react differently. Even my own siblings, like they tell me, "Oh, you're a bit fat. Go work on yourself." And even now, I still get that sort of experience because um, I'm not a healthy weight myself, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on myself, and I still, and yet people don't see that coming from me. They don't trust me. I feel like a lot of trust is not there in the family because
Yeah,
since the bullying is involved, there's no trust.
yeah, I can relate. I mean, even though I don't really share my personal life with the public, I'm also gonna, but I will share this. I myself have a hard time trusting many of my relatives because, like I mentioned earlier, like they're they're they happen to be those people who would just gossip about anyone and make fun of other people and put others down. Yeah, I don't really trust them or feel comfortable with sharing my struggles or even my aspirations with them because I'm worried that they might, I don't know, say something, they might say something behind my back which I may not like, or
Mm.
yeah, or they might make a huge drama out of this, which is so unnecessary. So I just back off.
Yeah, it happens all the time. You go to weddings, and especially in our cultural weddings, there's always going to be some relatives, whether it's aunties,
Oh, I
excuse me,
those
aunties,
aunties are,
uncles.
they're so
Go,
annoying. Those aunties.
it's not even just aunties, like your own blood relatives, like any aunties, uncles, whatever you want to say. Like they will gossip behind your back and say, "Oh, ime ekta mota lage," or "Chele ektu boro lage." Like he's big. I'm like, okay, we're here for the wedding. We're here to have a good time. Why the bullying? Why the ignorance for
They
people?
they make
People want to just have a good time.
they make such unnecessary comments. I mean, someone. I mean, I used to have this colleague, and yeah, I was told that I don't know, like he knew this girl, and she was judged for the way she walked, which was, and I was like, what? That's just ridiculous. Like she was judged for the way she walked. Like why?
People don't know behind the scenes. People just put a label saying, "Oh, this woman's walking differently because she's big." But how do you know they're big? Like, okay, they're big. You can see they're big. Okay, fine, that's not a problem. But they could be big for a reason, medically, genetically, and it might be hard for them to lose weight. And I'm not saying in terms of fat shaming; it could be in general. Like for
Yeah,
a skinny person, why is she not gaining weight? Or is there so many things that happen?
people in our community, they're, I mean, I I I honestly want to know what exactly is going to make them happy. I mean, someone's either, I don't know, too fair skinned, too dark skinned, or too tall, too short, too fat, too skinny, too this, too that, too simple, too extravagant. I don't know. Like, these people just have to say something about someone else, which is like,
I find it very I find their description of the ideal male or female very superficial and unrealistic, because you're never gonna get that in real life. If you are going to have something like that, you can go and just find yourself a Barbie doll or your Ken doll. Like, it's just, it is totally wrong to put such high standards on people who don't need that.
exactly, yeah. I find myself like, I know that I'm different, and I'm actually glad that I am, and I have no desire to fit in this toxic society. But like, it still gets to me, even though I don't want to be like these people and I want to stay and I'm fine with being different and whatnot, it still affects me. You get me?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I have no shame in being different. I have no shame in having a neurological condition or a physical condition or whatever, but as long it doesn't define me or does any harm. To be honest, at the end of the day, there's always going to be lessons and something positive coming out from it.
Exactly.
So I don't see the issue in why people should portray and put labels on people for no reason. It is a total shame.
How would you describe the Bangladeshi community in London? It's not as bad as Dhaka, right?
I would say um it comes very, very similar. Again, just because we come from a different area um of the world, it's no less the same or no less the different. It's just how, like, I come from Sylhet, well, a part of Sylhet, which is no longer Sylhet, Hobbygodge.
Mm.
And there are people in the East London community, majority Bengali. They really do look at you as if you come from a foreign world.
So, so tell me about the school that you're currently working in. Would you say that does bullying occur in there as well? Like, was it like the bullying you had experienced in I mean in the past, or is it lesser to a certain degree?
Well, it's a lot different because a lot of the kids are, or all of the kids are on the spectrum,
Okay.
and they do experience various of experiences that of their own. Some, I mean, they don't get bullied, but they do have their own space that they need, and the only way they reach out is, it can be using sign language or just verbal prompts or something like that. But I mean, communication is very different for a lot of the children.
Hmm.
So a lot of the kids, they might be aware of bullying. I don't work with the older group, but I work with the youngers.
Hmm.
So I don't see much bullying at the very moment because I'm still new.
Okay, okay, yeah. Right. Yeah, this just reminds me of our UCL lectures. Do you feel the same way?
I do a little bit. To be honest, it feels so long that we've we finished uni and everything. It feels like it's been so long. It feels forever. But yeah, uni, I feel like there is a lot of background in bullying the vulnerable, and I feel that's mostly common in mainstream settings, like a normal primary school, a normal secondary school. But
Hmm.
I don't think there is a lot in the SEN settings, from my perspective, generally because everyone's in the same boat. no one's picking on each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone's there for each other. Like, that's how my school at what the school I'm in, that's how they are. They're very welcoming and caring. Whereas the school I went to, which was a normal school, it felt like I was completely alone, and I felt like anywhere it felt like I was in a world where everyone had their own languages, but I was still provoked and picked on because the majority had the same language than me, if that makes sense. It's a bit of a communication barrier.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you're now in an environment where people are more understanding and supportive. And I'm glad that you now have a positive change in your life and you're enjoying your work. So I think I'm gonna call it a day. Thank you so much, Humaira, for being a guest in today's episode, and I hope the remainder of your day goes well. Thank you and take care. Bye bye.
Bye, you take care.
Thank you.